Good day, viewers, and welcome to today's edition of Christians in Politics, reaching you from the studios of the Advent Cable Network Nigeria Television, ACNNTV, here in Abuja. I am Smart Simon. Today we shall be looking at the topic COVID-19 and emerging issues. And I have with me via Skype Chims Nzagu Esquire and the Venerable J.O. Unwaya JP, Director, Civic and Political Affairs, Church of Nigeria, and the Chaplain to the National Assembly. Please remember, you can be part of this discussion via our social media channels. Now, we want to start our discussion. Let me start with the Venerable Joseph Unwaya. What can you say on the number of persons that have been killed by the security personnel during the lockdown in states like Kaduna, Delta, and Abuja?
Okay. Well, it's an unfortunate thing that apart from the fact that COVID-19 is already claiming some lives, that the police officers and the other security personnel working together are already killing some people, I think is absolutely unnecessary. No matter the level of provocation, that is not expected at a time like this, when everyone should be thinking of how best to manage this kind of situation. Let me give an example of the one about the first person to be killed in Abuja here. It happened very close to where we live. That was at Wuse2 by Banes area, where a man left the house to go and buy food for the wife who was pregnant and was hungry. And he explained to the security agents, and they did not understand that. And they continued to argue until the heated argument turned into a physical fight. And in the process, the man was killed in the process. Then just look at such a situation. What is difficult for a police officer or any other security personnel that was involved in that to understand? When somebody says, my wife is pregnant and is hungry at home, I just want to look for food to buy for him. I don't think that was something difficult for any person
to
reasonable to understand. To me, that was an unwarranted killing, and I thank God. I thank God that the FCT minister responded immediately by saying that any security man deployed for this exercise of curtailing movement that decides to take the law into his hand will also be prosecuted, because no one will be spared. I think that was a prompt response. The one that happened in Warri, I learned of it, though I don't have all the details. But in all, we have to say that such extrajudicial killing is completely unnecessary. Mind you, the police officers are on duty. They are out to help also fight against this COVID-19. But they should not forget that people, citizens that are moving out of their houses to do one thing or the other, are free citizens that have not committed any crime. And the whole essence of saying policemen should be on the road to stop people from moving about is just to save the life of this same citizen. So if in the process of doing that, COVID-19 has not yet reached the person, but you now use the bullet to sniff life out of that individual. What has the police officer succeeded in doing? The police officer need to be very civil. Mr. President has harped on that over and over. The chairman for the committee, national committee that is working on this COVID-19 has emphasized that civility over and over. And when I watched some video clips from some other countries, I was impressed with what the police officers were doing. Even in the face of the lockdown, some police officers made to go visit some street, and they were communicating with people. Family members stay in their corridors, in their windows, watching the police, singing for them to entertain them, you know, taking them through some indoor exercise that they can do in their balcony with the police officer leading them. That is the kind of cooperation, that is the kind of synergy, that is the kind of love we need to demonstrate at a time like this, because we are into this war together. Everyone must be seen to be fighting it together. We must do it in a very civil way. This is not the time to quarrel. This is not the time for accidental discharge.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Will it be that there is lack of training on the part of the security agent? That is why they are involved in this. Instead of
the police don't. I don't think the police need another special training for COVID-19. They have been trained.
Okay.
And it's not that when there is COVID-19, then they will retrain the police. When there is election, they will retrain the police. And when there is fire outbreak, they will retrain the police. No.
But they are always involved in these killings, unnecessary killings of people all the time.
It's because
will it be frustration?
Nigeria, it is because the value we place on life in Nigeria is so cheap. You have no right, no police officer have right to, to sniff life out of somebody.
That's true.
Except in extreme cases where the person to be arrested for maybe violent crime is ready to perpetrate another violence, maybe by attacking the police back with either machete or with gun or things, dangerous weapons like that. That is when it can be excusable for any security officer, whether a policeman or a soldier or whoever, can use maximum force. But ordinarily, police should arrest people with persuasion and take them gently to the station if they need be, presuming that these people are innocent until they have been convicted by a legally constituted court. So there should be no extrajudicial killing.
Okay. Thank you so much, Venerable. Now, let me get to Barrister Chims Nzagu, Esquire. Please kindly educate our viewers on the COVID-19 Act.
Thank you.
All right.
I think, first of all, I will want to say that there is no COVID-19 Act. Excuse me.
Okay.
We don't have a COVID-19 Act. Yes, what we have is COVID-19 Regulations 2020.
Okay.
Made pursuant to the Quarantine Act.
That's right.
Capture 2, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. So that we'll get that part correctly.
That's
now, right. We need to understand also that sections 3 and 4 of the Quarantine Act 2004, I gave the citation earlier, empowers the president to make these regulations.
Okay.
And that was what led to the president bringing about the COVID-19 Regulations 2020. Yes. Now, the COVID-19 Regulations 2020, it's a product of that Quarantine Act.
Okay.
It's a product of the Quarantine Act. Yes, and then the regulations simply says, I think if you look at the regulation 1 from sub-rule 1 to sub-regulation 1 to 7, it talks about he declared COVID-19 a dangerous disease.
Okay.
He declared COVID-19 a dangerous disease, and by that, directing cessation of movements in Lagos, Ogun, and FCT. So by that, citizens from those areas are restricted from moving out of their homes, with the exception of medical personnel. If you look at that, it highlighted a number of about 5 persons. If you look at the regulations, as was signed by the president on the 30th of March, and later renewed.
Yes,
the people exempted are the people in the medical and hospital establishments, food processing and distribution and retail companies, petroleum distribution and retail entities, power generation, transmission and distribution companies, private security companies. But again, there is also a proviso there that these people, their movement will be restricted and monitored as well. So that these people are exempted from movement does not mean that they should go about moving up and down.
Yes.
Now, in a nutshell, COVID-19 regulations 2020 is simply declared COVID-19 a dangerous disease and restricting movement of persons in Lagos, Ogun, and FCT. So by that, citizens are to stay in their homes. Now, what is the essence of this COVID-19 regulation? One is to contain, identify, trace, and isolate individuals who are affected with the virus. So with that, it is necessary that citizens of this nation sit at home in order to keep themselves safe and stay safe from being affected by the coronavirus.
Yes, sir. All right, thank you so much for enlightening us on the COVID-19 regulations 2020. Now, let me move to, thank you so much. Let me come back to Venerable Joseph. Is physical exercise against the act?
Well,
because recently, some people, particularly in Piakasa, the person was doing exercise and he was arrested. Looking at what Barrister just told us, should people be arrested when they are doing their exercise?
Now, when you say it's a physical exercise, is it exempted in the act? It's not exempted, because once you exempt that in the act, it means all sportsmen and women are free to move about to begin to engage in their sporting activities. And that will be, we negate the whole idea of the restriction. Talking about the people that were arrested, I think Nigerians have a way of abusing privileges. I saw many of the video clips where many people deferred the act and went to small football field in their neighborhood and were busy playing. And you know the amount of body contact that is involved in football playing. I think if even a wise person should not embark on such a suicide mission by going to be playing football and robbing himself with other people. And also, these people come from different background, from different family, and you cannot determine who is already infected among them, who will possibly infect others. Then, for those who were doing morning workout, in my area here, a lot of that was going on, and many people engaged in a workout on the street. Even myself and some members of my family were doing that within the first 14 days until they were threatening to arrest, and they were actually arresting those who were not doing workout. For me, that is overzealousness, because if I have to take a walk along the road, that in no way compromises my head, because I'm moving alone or possibly with my wife and my son. We are moving even apart. And by the way, most of the people doing the work out are people from the same family, mostly couples, boyfriend and girlfriend, as the case may be, and they came from the same house. So if myself and my wife and my son, who came from the same house, are doing the workout along the road, I don't see in any way where that has, we help in the transmission of the disease. But no, our security agency, be who they are always overzealous, and they always want to take things out of proportion. In fairness to the traffic wardens and the policemen that were in our axis in Abuja here, they never disturb you. If you greet them, you just be there, you pass, they see that you are doing a walkout. But we were seeing in the television some people being arrested in other parts of the city. To me, that was overzealousness. And in all, the aim is to safeguard ourselves from being contacted. So for me, whoever is involved in exercising should do it with utmost care.
And should observe all the regulations.
The government should also, the regulators, the security agencies should also understand one thing. COVID-19 is talking about health. And as of today, it has no definite cure. And so the stronger your immunity is, the better your survival rate in this very situation. And that should mean that people should be allowed to exercise their body muscles and be strong and toughen themselves to withstand any possible shock when they are affected. It's not every person that will be privileged like some of us. Like where I live in the vicarage, there's enough space to walk out around the church. If I want to do my workout, the place is fenced around. I can do my walk out around the church and burn the energy I want to burn. Within the vicarage, I can climb up to 4-story building and come down. That is like those days when I was in life camp, when we do go to the mountain to climb over there, go to the top of the mountain and come down. I can virtually do that inside my vicarage because I'm living on a very high-rising building, and the inside is large enough for us. Like yesterday, my kids and myself were playing football inside our sitting room. And between the sitting room and the room upstairs, there's a staircase that we can do a walkout right inside the vicarage. But how many people are privileged to have that? There are many people that are just living in a 2-bedroom flat, a room self-contained, and talk less of those in the Junks area in the city. Look at the place next to us here, Mambuchi. When you go there, you begin to wonder how 3, 4, 5 persons are living in these small huts packed together. So if such a person want to take a walk around, I don't think it is fair for police officers to begin to harass them. At best, they should educate them. What I've discovered is that there's no much education the way it's supposed to be. Briefing by the National Committee is okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that answer. Let's move now to Chims Nzagu. Barrister Chims Nzagu, what is your take on the violation of human rights by some security personnel?
Okay, just permit me a little bit to chip in something with the last question Venerable answered.
Please go ahead.
Yes. Now, the Regulation 1 Sub 2 of the COVID-19 Regulations 2020 says that citizens in the affected areas should stay in their homes.
Okay.
It said that they should stay in their homes. Now, any physical exercise that will take you out of your home is a breach of this regulation and is punishable.
Okay.
Now, the truth is, the videos we have been seeing on social media, you see a group of people doing aerobics on the street, on the major road. over 20 to 30 of them.
Like in Lagos, they are even clustered in a place.
Described. You see, you understand it. So the type variable is talking about is not really what the regulation it tries to cover. Okay. So any physical exercise, imagine someone going to a major street to go and do aerobics. So, but an exercise you are doing within your environment is permitted to keep fit for your health's sake. But the one that will take you away from it is punishable. So people who indulge in such should be ready to face the force of the law. Okay. Now, on the violation of rights,
now, please, can I quickly chip in something there?
Want to say something? Please, go ahead.
Yes, that is where we must not be mechanical in the implementation of these rules and regulations. There must be a human face to this if we want to help ourselves. If people who are engaged in physical exercise can be mishandled by police officer and all the like, then what happens to the people that were involved in Abakari's burial? These are the people that made the law, and you could see that there was total disregard to the regulations, the laws they have made for people to follow. They compromise more than the people who were simply doing exercise. We cannot now say, let us go and arrest those people, because we should not forget that these people were money. These are people, friends, colleagues at work, who are really devastated by what has happened, and what they were doing it unconsciously. We can tolerate and accommodate this apply human face to the regulation or the act. I think such grace can be extended to every other citizen, and they should be well educated.
All right, thank you so much. Now, Barrister, go ahead. The violation of human rights by some security personnel. The
violation of human rights, no matter for whatever reason, is unconstitutional. Whatever violation of fundamental human rights is unconstitutional, because the rights of these citizens are provided for in Chapter 4. So any violation thereto is unconstitutional. But then we should also understand that there are certain exceptions to it. And such exception is the COVID-19 regulations 2020 that says stay at home. So someone who has a freedom of right to freedom of expression and right to freedom of worship, we can see that churches are closed, mosques are closed. People no longer go to churches to worship. People no longer go to mosques to worship. So these are certain areas of the fundamental rights that this regulation has also affected. So, but the area that is totally wrong is security operatives and personnel maltreating citizens. It is totally wrong and it is unacceptable. It is very unacceptable. Yes, these people have offended, they have breached the regulation, but maltreating them, you see soldiers tying the hands of people to sticks and all, that is totally unacceptable and it is wrong. It violates their fundamental rights, and their rights should be enforced at their appropriate quarters.
Okay. Okay, now, Barrister, still with you. Who will the people affected by the human rights violation cry to for help in times like this?
The court, of course, because the court is still the last hope of the common man. Now, Regulation 17 of the COVID-19 regulations, because I keep making reference to, because that is what is governing us at this point of the lockdown. Now, Regulation 1 sub-Regulation 7 of the COVID-19 regulations 2020 provides that the courts are open to hear matters of urgency.
Yes.
And enforcement of human rights is a matter of urgency. Because once a right of a person is infringed, that person has ceased the last hope of the common man, and the courts are still open to hear matters of urgency, which enforcement of fundamental rights is. So any Nigerian citizen whose rights has been enforced, who has been infringed, who has been maltreated by the security personnel or any other person, should go to the court and make complaint, and the matter will be heard immediately, and the freedom regained, and that right will be retrieved as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Barrister. We'll go on a short break now, and then when we return, we will continue our discussion.
I came out because I needed to get some money from my account. So I stay at Sanya. So I went to the ATM there. It was not working, not dispensing rather. So I just, okay, let me just drive down. I was even having fuel in my car to make the invoice. But I can't go home that morning. So I just put my car in neutral. I just drove down to AYA, to AYA. I parked my car, collected the 2,000 naira from my account. So I was coming out, entered my car. And I also saw my neighbor that went to buy food at the super with her food stuff. Daddy Benita, thank God though. Where are you coming from? Enter, let's go. And as I opened my boot to put her food stuff she bought, she entered. Let me start my car. One hill was just double across me. See how I'm carrying passenger. I quickly brought out my ID card and showed him. Say, okay, see my ID card. See where I'm coming from. See what I did. I don't know what happened. Just say, go to the station. Go to the station. So thinking it's something that if I go, I explain myself, I'll be released. We drove to the station on Easter Monday around 11 in the morning. From that 11 o'clock till today, I'm still there begging them. Only for me to come today, and I was asked to come to the court. And here I am to tell them what happened.
Okay, so what was the judgment?
Well, my judgment was that my car will be in their custody till 30th of this month. I should pay a fine of 1,000 naira, which a good Samaritan has helped me to pay. But leaving the car parked for up to a month without owning and servicing it, I don't know how it will be. But I thank God for the judgment.
You have already seen FCT administration has marched words with action. The courts are already on ground, and the prosecution of offenders that violated the lockdown is already ongoing. And this court presently are about in 3 locations in the FCT, and by tomorrow it's going to be in 11 or 12 locations, because now it is the court of the DRTS that are activated. There are 8 mobile courts at the AEPB that are going to be activated tomorrow as well, meaning that with the 4 that is presently operational, we are going to have 12 active mobile courts in and around the FCT. And the offenders are being tried, as you have seen.
Okay, tell us, what is the maximum penalty for offenders?
The penalty actually varies depending on the magnitude of your offense. That has to do basically with the condition of your vehicle first, and then second, which is almost a normal violation, that is route violation, because anybody who has violated the lockdown is already in violation of the route, because he is not allowed to fly the route and he has flied. So that one is an obvious offense for almost all of them. So the charges varies between 25,000 up to 50,000, depending on the magnitude of your offense. But what is even more important is the fact that the court will always issue an order to detain the vehicle until the lockdown period is exhausted before release, even if you paid your fine. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Doing the enforcement, I think this is something that is very special to us here. You saw what they just did now. In less than a few minutes, they've gotten about 13 offenders, and they are still bringing more in, including one foreigner here. It's something that we really see as very, very commendable. Those who are here, sometimes the fine may vary so high, but it still depends on the discretion of the magistrate here. Some who pleaded guilty are getting far lesser fine here, but the fundamental fact is that they are already ex-convict, and they must know that very strongly. And please, those of us who are not on the exemption list should please stay at home. Tomorrow we'll tighten the grip. Beside our road offender, we'll be having many persons here. Drivers who are offenders will have many persons here as well who are out there violating the rules. They will also be joining the list of ex-convicts should they contravene the orders of the president and the orders of the country at a time like this. Thank you.
Viewers, you're welcome back. This is still Christians in Politics, and we still have via Skype Chims Nzagwe Esquire and the Venerable J.O. Onuaya. And based on the video we just watched, let me come to you, Barrister Chims. What is your take on the lockdown? For example, the inauguration of the COVID-19 court, and with your observation from people's reaction to it.
By Section 5 of the Quarantine Act, Cap Q2, Laws of the Federation 2004, it provides for penalties for persons who contravene the regulations made pursuant to the Act.
Okay.
So, the establishment of the mobile courts first is for ease of access. And it is for the purpose of interpretation, determination of who has committed an offense and who has contravened the regulations of the COVID-19 regulation 2020. And by the time the offense is placed and the charge is brought forth before the court, and the offense is read to the person, and the person is convicted, the person is charged and convicted, rather. So my observation is, well, they are doing well. It's a welcome development. But my challenge is, the persons who are brought before this mobile court, do they really have access to legal representation?
Okay.
Do some of them really understand the offense for which they are charged? And if they understand, they still have a legal right, constitutional right to a legal representation. So I think a balance should be drawn where these people can be given opportunity to call their lawyers to come and represent them. Because some things may be said they won't understand. It will require their lawyer to interpret these things for them. Yes. So my challenge is are they being given fair hearing? From the video, we can see a lawyer, but I don't know which side the lawyer stands. Is it the prosecutor or is it the defense counsel? Or is it both the prosecutor and the defense counsel? And so it is a big challenge in here. It is a big challenge in here. Or are they all taken there and then they are told, plead guilty, you pay 10,000 naira and you go? To me, that is not justice. Because justice is for the court, justice is for the individual, and justice is for the democracy as well.
Okay. All right.
So the challenge I'm having here...
this court, this COVID-19 court, those whom their right has been violated, can they also go there?
No, the challenge is enforcement of fundamental right has a different, and whoever is the person in charge of this court, the judge in charge of this mobile court, is a magistrate. That is what is provided by the Quarantine Act. Okay. So, but these people can only enforce their rights at the High Court.
So you can't go there when your right is violated.
That is why I said it's not like if your right is contravened, if your right is infringed, you can go to the mobile court. No, the mobile court is basically for offenders of the COVID-19 regulation.
Then don't you think it's one-sided?
That is what I'm saying. That my challenge is, they didn't do. They are trying, but there was no proper consultation with the stakeholders. Particularly, NBA should have been consulted. The judiciary should have been consulted for a roundtable discussion to come to an all-encompassing provision that will cover both for those that their rights have been infringed, those that are the offenders of the regulation, so that all of them can have direct and easy access. Because the essence of the mobile court is for easy access. So, but when you have easy access to convict me for a regulation I breached, and I don't have easy access also to go to a court where I can enforce my right that has been infringed, it becomes a problem.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister. Now, let me come to Venerable Joseph. Venerable, are we together?
Yeah.
All right. What is your take on the proposal of the National Assembly to the federal government on supply of free electricity to Nigerians for 2 months to help in reducing the burden of electricity dues?
Well, for me, anything that is done to make the weight of this COVID-19 pandemic lighter on the citizen is done in good faith and is in good direction. And to that extent, I commend them. The question is that enough? What about other palliatives? How are these palliatives to be managed so that it will get to the appropriate destination? These are the things I expect that the National Assembly should invest much of their energy on, and how to ensure that people don't divert some of these things. For the energy company, don't forget, they are private business enterprises that we can only persuade them to do what they are being required to do, because they must have paid their tax, they must have done what they're supposed to do with respect to government. Why the National Assembly is telling them to waive 2 months NEPA bill to ease this challenge for the citizens. There are people who are also arguing that government should be ready to waive some of the taxes and the things that the companies have to pay to government. So I think what we really need here is a strong synergy. Let people apply human face to this. Some companies who are not under the control, so to say, of the National Assembly, individuals have come out, even churches have come out to be making donations and making supplies to the poorest of the poor all over the country. And so if Disco or Genco or whichever company have to do with energy have to make some waiver for the people, I think it should be it's a welcome development, and I think every good citizen of Nigeria should encourage it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sorry, sir. Can I chip in something?
Please go ahead, Barrister.
All right, I must commend the National Assembly. It's a welcome development, and it shows that they are sensitive to the plight of the people. But then again, they should ensure to see to the favorable implementation of that. Because it is one thing to come out and say, give 2 months free electricity. How are you going to monitor these discos to be sure that they equally distribute the electricity? Light. So that we don't see 2 months of total blackout.
That's
well, no, that is the truth. And they say they have given 2 months, and then out of the 2 months, you have light in 2 weeks in 1 month, and another 1 week in the second month. And in the actual sense, they are giving 2 months. So the National Assembly should see to its favorable implementation.
No, I think
Nigeria will know what
that may be difficult for them to do, because I'm not a technician and I don't have a complete knowledge about that. But from what I learned, energy that is generated, they cannot hold. They need to supply it. They need to disburse it. So that may stop them from holding power at this.
Anyway, but government can direct National Electric Regulatory Commission to look into that, to ensure that proper thing is done. Okay, Barrister, what is your take on the decongestion of correctional centers and prisons? Chimson Zagu.
Okay, my answer is two-sided. Okay. One is a good one. It's a nice one. It's a good initiative. At least it will help contain the spread of the COVID-19. But on the other hand, the question I will ask, and I will still answer, is were the palliatives given to these inmates as they were leaving the correctional centers? Palliatives that will sustain them for the period of the lockdown, or were they just released to go and look about in the society? If the second leg is the issue, it becomes a problem, because you see these people go into the communities. There is no money, there is no job to do, there is no place to go to look for work, and it becomes a problem. And it will lead definitely to escalation of crime. As we already seen gang robbery in various places, and letters are written to people that they are coming to visit. So it is good, but my challenge is in our country is we do things in haste without first putting the measures required in place. So if government didn't put these measures in place, were they giving at least 200,000 naira to go and live life outside, and bags of rice and gari and maggi and the rest? If they were not, it is a big problem we are facing. And then on the other hand, don't you think it would have been safer for them to remain there than to come out and mix with the society where this thing is already spreading like wildfire? So if you look at it very well, it is good on one side, and on the other side, it is not too safe for us.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Now, Venerable, do you have anything to say with regards to this decongestion of correctional centers?
Yes, for the prisoners, I think the coming of COVID-19 is like the grace of God coming upon them, because this is what they have been praying for, so that they can breathe some air of freedom. But that is going to spell a major doom for the society. As our brother has said, there are some of these prisoners who ordinarily will be embraced by their relatives and friends. But with the situation we find ourselves outside now, apart from the usual, what do you call it now, stigmatization of such people, even friends, we find it difficult now to embrace them and bring them into their homes. So that means crime and criminality is going to surge in a dimension that is least expected. But on the other hand, if you go to prison and you understand what is going on there, as at last week, we have over 70,000, about 72,000 inmates in Nigeria prisons, and out of that, over 50-something thousands are just awaiting trial. And some of them have stayed in the prison yard longer than even the term, the prison term they are supposed to serve, assuming they were even convicted. So, if asking such people to go, I don't think there's anything wrong in it, because they have overstayed in that place. Then when you see the congested nature of some prison, you just begin to wonder that if by any means COVID-19 have its way into any of our correctional centers, how are they going to manage it? It will be a major disaster. So while the decongestion is desirable, the government need to think twice, and especially what the barrister James have just said, any person that is being released should be given some palliatives seriously, so that he can settle down when he gets out.
All right, thank you. Now, before I leave you, what is your advice to the government and security agencies as we're facing this hard time? Venerable.
Yeah, now for the security agency, we want to advise them to tread with caution.
Okay.
Let them be civil in their approach. See, security agency enjoys more respect when they operate in a very civil and matured manner. They enjoy the respect from the citizens more. Then for the citizens on their own part, we need to understand that the police officers are really there to work on our behalf, and so we should give them some measure of respect. I've always told my people here, if for any reason, even if you want to go to pharmacy or go and pick some things in the market, if a police officer stops you and you explain to the person where you are going and it's not ready to hear, and he say go back, please go back. It's as simple as ABC. There are many roads to market, so you can use another place if the one police officer on that very road is very stubborn. Then for the government, I think we need to be up and doing and be seen to be organized in the way we are handling these things. I'm not too comfortable with the way the states and the federal government have not been able to work in synergy so far. You see some states have been, and the federal government have been clashing with themselves, and apart from that, you see some federal government declaring only 2 states and FCT closed down, while other states are left. I don't know the rationale behind that. And some states have not even bothered to take any of such steps. They are waiting till the COVID-19 comes to them. Then some of the states who have already forced the lockdown, some reopened because of Easter, some reopened because of Ramadan, and all sorts of excuses are being given. They relax today, they open tomorrow, they declare curfew in the night. I don't know why people should be allowed to move in the day and curfew is declared in the night. Is it really to check the security aspect of this thing, or to check COVID-19 spread? So I need to advise the government to be more organized in the way they are going about this thing. And maybe this is very important. I don't know, maybe some of the people regulating FCT may be viewing this, our program. I don't know the rationale behind reducing the number of times markets are open to people to 2 days. When it was 3 days, people that went to market complained bitterly that the markets were overcrowded. And simply reducing it to Wednesday and Saturday, that automatically translates to more congestion. I don't know the rationale behind taking such decision. What I expected from the government, especially in FCT, is to be thinking of decentralization of markets now, as it is done in Edo State, where they have moved markets to primary school, secondary school, to create space, enough space for marketers to shade their things, and people who are customers are able to walk freely without getting close to themselves. I think the government needs to be more organized in their approach.
All right, thank you so much, Venerable, I must say. Now, Barrister Chains, your advice to Nigerians and the world on this pandemic as we round off our program.
Okay, let me just say something on my advice to the federal government and security agencies before I go to the Nigerians and the world. Now, security agencies should put in best practice. And then their welfare should also be looked into. A hungry man, they say, is an angry man.
That's
told me that on the streets they are trying to protect these people with empty stomach. So the heads of these security agencies should do something to help their welfare as well. And then on the palliatives, we should be true to ourselves. The federal government should be true to themselves on the distribution of the palliatives. There should be even distribution. You can't adjudge one person poor and adjudge one person rich. The person who you feel has money in his account may also have somebody's money lying in his account, and you think it is the person's name. They have access to people's BVN. In fact, we can do this thing if we want to do it. The federal government can share 5,000 to every Nigerian. It is very possible. It is not a difficult task, without calling people to send their account numbers. Don't say you want to start from the north, you have more poor people there. The east, you have only one state that you have poor people. It is not right. There should be even distribution of palliatives. People are hungry. People are tired. So something should be done. And then, generally, to Nigerians, my advice is that they should stay at home and be safe. There is no need forcing yourself out. You see people, I know somebody told me a story of somebody who has been moving about during the lockdown. And then what is his reason? He wants to go and buy one drug. Every day the person is buying one drug or the other. When you know you don't have a reason to leave your house, stay at home. So my advice to Nigerians, stay at home. As we trust God to see us through this pandemic, I know it will soon come to pass. And the government should also try to help us, to give us the accurate figure of affected persons, so that people will know how serious it is and adopt all the measures as given out by WHO and the NCDC in keeping safe.
All right, thank you so much. I'm sure that you've watched the video of a man after the burial of the Chief of Staff, late Abakari, in Gudu Cemetery. I'm sure you watched the video of a man who decided to remove his protective jacket and just threw it like that.
Yeah.
And later he put it on the ladder, but that was not properly done. And I think that NCDC should look into that and ensure. I learned that they came there, But please, any other burial. I learned that coughs that are infected are not even supposed to be allowed to the public, so that it won't generate, it won't bring about, you know, spreading the disease. So all of these things, they should consider it. Yeah, Barrister Chins, you wanted to say something?
You know, Venerable said something with respect to that burial, and I want to chip in something. What we saw there was gross disrespect to the people of Nigeria and to the COVID-19 regulations 2020. We are not meant to see that number of persons there. So my advice to NCDC and federal government, look for all the persons that attended that burial, quarantine them, observe them, and thereafter try them, because they have breached the regulations.
They need to be quarantined.
All right, thank you so much.
And further arrested and prosecuted.
Okay, Chims Nzagu Esquire, thank you so much for your time. God bless you. And Venerable, we have to thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
This is where we wrap up our program. And before we close, let me say that let us, as much as possible, try to avoid touching our mouth, our eyes, and our nose at this point in time. Number 2, let us wash our hands for at least 20 seconds with soap and water, or even apply alcoholic-based sanitizer. Number 3, we advise that you should stay at home. And number 4, if you are sick with any of these symptoms, fever, tiredness, dry cough, then ensure that you call Nigerian Center for Disease Control. I remain your humble host, Smart Simon. Until we come your way again, same time, same station. Goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and viewers, and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the Advent Cable Network Nigeria, ACNNTV.